Mr. Theophilus Nyamono McIntosh. He's a political commentator and an administrator. Theophilus, welcome to the Bumper Show.
Thank you so kindly, my dear brother.
So Theo will be with me for the day. We'll talk about developments in the country. And one of the areas we'll start from with is what it's just a one statement, one sentence that I talk and develop it into a whole book. We can take a whole time and talk about it. It is two things I want to talk about. And those two things will capture the rest of it and we'll open the line later and you have a conversation. Then at the other side at 5 o'clock, the Honorable Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Ledgerhood J Rennie will be here as our guest to talk about what happened during the July 26th celebration, what measures have been taken by the government, and what the president thinks about the whole fracas that took place in our country. Again, fellas, I was like listening, and you and I listened together. And one thing my professor of mass communication said to me in Nairobi, Kenya, while I was studying there in 2000, he said to me,
Right.
everybody does not listen to the radio at the same time.
That's correct.
You are now, it's only spectators who watch the football game at the same time and see the ball at the same time.
Yes.
But people listen to the radio at different time.
Sure.
So you can say, we'll put the radio on where we'll listen to 7 o'clock news on ERBC.
Okay.
Everybody is around the table listening, but other people's minds are focused on something else. So everybody will not grab the news at the same time.
No.
So the information minister of Kenya at the time called Peter Okoyo. Peter Okoyo taught me in a community radio administration in Nairobi 2000 at Radio Wahoo Tunic College.
All right.
And he said to me, everybody does not listen to the radio at the same time.
No.
You and I can be here on the same table. We have the radio playing right here, and the news is on.
Yeah.
But my mind is on different things. So you and I will not grab the news at the same time.
No.
So everybody does not listen to the radio at the same time. We are not spectators on the football field. So everybody listen to the radio at different time. But yesterday, I think it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
So myself, I said, oh, he said, Jallah, the minister said, domestic revenue is performing well.
All right.
And I listened to Minister Augustus Flomo yesterday. What caught my attention, I will come to you.
All right.
And I want to lay the premise first and I'll
All
come
right.
to you. And you can zero in on that one later.
Okay.
I listened to the Deputy Minister of Finance yesterday, Augustus Flomo. He was keen at the budget preparatory meeting at the ministerial complex yesterday. He was pleased to announce to the Liberian people and the President of Liberia that domestic revenue is performing. There's an increment in domestic revenue collection.
Sure.
And when he said that, I posted on Facebook, others came, and others started posting on Facebook and asking questions, what are the indicators? What are the indicators when you say there is a huge performance of the budget in terms of local revenue collection?
All right.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what is happening in this country. And the minister was right. And some of the questions they raised in their Facebook pages and whatsoever they said, so revenue is increasing, meaning that we're getting surplus in the budget. So why aren't they adding money to the civil servant salaries? Dr. Lawrence Coleman Brobless say always, it is a gradual incrementalism. Meaning it is gradual.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't happen at the same time and you want it to be. So Lawrence Brobless is already keen on that, and I borrowed that from him. It's gradual. It is not increment. It doesn't come just at the time you think it should come. It should be as a result of the state others sitting together and say, this sector needs this improvement here and there. We got to improve it. But let me go to what the guys have been asking about the indicators. If the budget is performing, domestic revenue is being realized, what is happening to the money coming to the country's coffers?
All right.
Only the man who doesn't see or hear, who doesn't feel, will want to doubt Minister Samuel Twe and his team at the Ministry of Finance to say what he's saying is just a mere charade, as the university student always say, mere charade.
Yeah.
It is not just a mere charade. It is a truth that comes with facts.
Sure. So
So the indicators are many. Before President George Weah took office, students at all public universities in this country were paying tuition at University of Liberia and other universities that are public universities.
Okay.
1 year after President George Weah took office, he said to the Liberian people at the LU campus, I was sitting with Smith Tobe and a very good supporter of President Weah called Father Manamba. We were still sitting together, she and I. And we rode together from Benson Street and we were driving. And I kept saying to the man, I say, I'm sensing something that the president, while he is at the university for the first time, will make a pronouncement that will leave the house of university student. And luckily for when we got there, the president made a pronouncement of free tuition. That is one of the impacts that the president made in this country.
Yeah.
Because domestic revenue is performing without international external support as we had in the United Party-led government, which I'll go to later. One of the impacts is that the University of Liberia now has a free tuition. Those of our brothers and sisters who are in this place called Maryland at the Tubman University have free education. That's one of the impacts. Another impact is, when the president took over and he saw that the budget was performing so well, he announced that the wives of AFS soldiers, the sons of our country, they go to Mali when they fall prey to maybe a bullet attack whatsoever they come to Liberia, they have nowhere to go to be treated. He announced that I will build a military hospital for Liberia. Yeah. Ambassador Dr. George Weah built a military hospital. When he wanted to dedicate it, he said there were so many doctors. They were so doubting and say it can't happen. But that hospital is a state-of-the-art hospital right now that is being funded solely by the Liberian government. The money comes from the coffers of the government to fund it. It is as a result of the performance of the budget when it comes to revenue being collected locally. So it is domestic revenue collected by the government that is funding the military hospital in Shovlin. Let's go to rural connectivity. I'll leave the rest of you talk because you have been with Mr. President before. You said, the president, my friend, and we worked together before. I was paying some students' school fees here, when he was playing football.
Yeah.
You will tell me that story later.
Yeah.
So one of the issues is that Samuel D. Twe has repeatedly said in this country that the roads have been constructed in this country. Community roads. Take for example, the roads think of it where the president lives.
Yeah.
The former vice president lived in that area for 12 years. Before he became vice president, he lived there all the years he worked in government. 12 years he lived there. There was no any effort made to pave one street road. Just at the back of the vice president house there, get the house there, and the road there. Rehab. Right at the back of the vice president area there, that place is bad. At the other time I was driving there about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. I don't know where they're facing now. There's a hole right behind the vice president house there. My man told me say there's trenches are there right now. When you go, so what I can do then when I come in this, I can pass in front of your house and pass between a song or entertainment center there and get on the other side and come to Double Rosa. That hole has been there since he was vice president. George Weah came, he paved all the roads in the rehab area. All the places are connected. You live in Weaver Avenue right here, around what other place is it? Weaver Community.
Yeah.
Now, did we see road going to the cemetery, JCN House Cemetery?
Sure.
There was no road there in terms of pavement. George Weah intended, and he made sure roads are now going to the cemetery where paved quota. These are some of the impact we're talking about. Before I end on that, let me ask you. I'll come to you. You come to your own.
No, I know that. I just want to add on to what you
Please
said.
go ahead.
Okay, so you see, the issue here is clear, Jallah. Whenever we talk about budget performance, as you alluded to the Minister of Finance, government is not in the business of making profit. Government is in the business of undertaking development delivery for her people. So when the minister speak about budget performances, he talk about deliverables that have been made. That is the dichotomy with the public sector from the private sector.
Okay.
When a private company talk about performance, they talk about generating revenue, it is speaking in the context of profit.
Okay.
They can show their profit, they can show you a fabulous bank account.
Okay.
Unlike that for the government wants to make impact into the life of her citizenry.
Okay.
And this is what this government is doing. So you will not see in terms of having huge budget sitting at central bank there, and you say, oh, government is performing well. No, but we're talking about the road that is going in the communities.
Yeah.
We're talking about the road that are going in the counties. We're talking about the health center that have been improved. These are issues that tend to trigger in terms of budgetary performance when it comes to public sector accounting. Government must account for whatever she collects in terms of her domestic revenue and make sure she put that into a proper management sector. And this is what is going on. So I just want to speak onto that context.
You continue.
And this is what I just want to know. So you will not, this government, unlike previous government, before I come to that component that you want me to draw onto, this is the connecting government to 1999.
Okay.
I speak that again. This government, we are government, it is the connecting government to 1989.
Okay.
To understand that, 1989, you have a self-government, independent government. Meaning that government has its own sovereign right and took decision on her own, the Samuel Doe-led government. There was breakdown between the period 1990
Okay.
and we moved up to 1997.
During the Chancellor period.
Exactly so. We brought the Chancellor government in. That government, President Taylor, was not meant to be a self-government. Like you saw with the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. That government needed to work alone with international organization for capacity development.
Okay.
But because of some other political plurality, President Taylor did not have that understanding, and he was not pleased to work along with ECOWAS that he once engaged at the battlefront. So the issue of Statutory and Forces Agreement brought down the entirety on Taylor's government. He could not obtain help from the international community.
Of course, he got paralyzed.
He got paralyzed. So then you saw what constituted the failure of that government. And then the succeeding transitional government came on board. Until then you have the Julie Bryan government that was the last transitional government. And then we transitioned to the Madam Sirleaf-led government. That Madam Sirleaf-led government was also not a self-government.
Okay.
Neither was it a self-determined government. That government was indeed a government that worked in the ambience of a de facto government.
Okay.
Because it worked alongside with international forces. So you had a parallel government that had to do with UNMIL. UNMIL worked along with the Madam Sirleaf-led government. But to draw back to what we are saying, this government, Dr. George Biden Weah-led government, is indeed a self-independent government when it comes to undertaking delivery by itself. And this is why we want to speak on when you talk about this government performing. Indeed, this government maximizing all of its revenue in terms of development. So I just want to give you support in that direction, that the public sector accounting does not account for profitability. It talks about deliverables, development.
And so it's a private sector that calls for
profit making.
Profit making.
Yes. Your health center cannot be empty. Your health center cannot be empty, and you tell me you're making profit. You are getting revenue. You keep them. No, government is not interested in that. Government is not interested in that.
So the government is interested in public sector delivery.
Precisely. That's
why the
private sector is for profit making.
Profit making.
Government does not make profit.
Thanks, honorable analyst. I like that.
So
we'll proceed. And we'll get in there.
All right.
Let me call the word of my friend Abby Will. So we'll get in there. But again, let me say this, honorable Markintosh.
Okay.
You know. So let me say again to you, the Liberian people who are listening to us, where there have been some of the benefits we have gotten as a result of the domestic revenue being performing. I was in FOIA, and I was in conversation with the superintendent of Lofa County, Ome William Tamakamba, and that of the Senator Joseph Pato Jallah. and they were on their way to Salaye. And they were hurrying to leave, and I said to them, why are you hurrying to leave when we still have something to do? He said, no, Percy Yeke, who comes on Lace, is coming to dedicate or coming to break ground for a nurse's quarter in Salaye.
All right.
Percy went there, he broke ground for a nurse's quarter that will be built between now and December. And if the president goes to for the last country tour, he will go and dedicate that health center or the nurses' quarter for those people.
All right.
He didn't stop there. He went to Zozo to ensure that a town hall is erected in that area before December. The government gave 1 million macro loan to women in Lofa County in just recent time.
It's great.
And Percy Yeke told the people it comes from the government of Liberia through President George Weah.
Yeah.
Those are some of the indicators. Those are some of the impacts. Only those who cannot see, who are blind politically, can challenge and say, these things you're saying are not true.
Okay.
And I will go to Benedict Koluba, the Assistant Minister and Minister of Finance, and I'll ask him about all of those deliverables the government has achieved and how I can lay hands on it. I will come and I explain them to you one by one in this studio to educate you.
Sure.
This message or these messages must resonate with the people. For me, I will come on this video and tell you all the good things George has done. I will not dwell much again on the opposition, what they say. And I always say this thing yesterday, I always say it, brother.
All right.
You know the issue of George Weah government and other opposition is about girlfriend and boyfriend thing, right?
Yeah, you always say that.
Yeah. So this girl is with a man called Macintosh. Like Macintosh girlfriend.
Yeah.
You want to marry the girl? Macintosh is doing everything for that girl. Buy car for the girl. Buy her, cell phone for the girl.
Yeah. Treat her well.
You treat her well. You get a house for the girl.
All right.
But that boy who is on the other side is a handsome boy.
Yeah.
He wants to he wants get that girl. But his only interest is to sleep with the girl.
Sure.
When he sleeps with the girl, he's done. So he comes to the girl when you leave, you go to work, he say, oh, that man did that man. Oh, me, I'm coming, I want love to you. Oh, I love to you, I will do everything for you. But while he's away, he's not doing anything for the girl.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything for the girl to see. But you want to convince the girl for the girl to leave her man. It is the same thing these opposition guys are doing now. They say to like when people say, Joe, we are not doing better for you. You give up power, kind of do better for you. But these are the same people who sat in the political cabaclu.
Yeah.
Let me borrow the word of my man, Patrick Soa. They sat in the political war rooms and said to us, they carved a document as CPP to tell you how devilish and wicked they are. They went in their political room and said to us in this country that when they take power as CPP, they will only get jobs to themselves before like people get jobs. And you saw that thing before that press statement?
Yeah.
I was at OKFM. I was on the radio that morning with Jallah J. I like Jallah J or Karen Jackson. When that information leaked, we had the information in our hands. When we started discussing at on OKFM, Mo Ali, who is the former Secretary General of the CPP, called and said, oh, yeah, we did that, we carved that document, but it's not the final document there. Oh, it's not the final, but why are you proposing that you must get a job over any Liberian? Before you get a job, you must get a job first, you CPP members. So CPP was comprising Unity Party, ALP, UP, and how you call it, Liberty Party, right? 4 parties. Yeah. So it means that all the political parties will get job before you get job the Liberian people. But it was good, God does not sleep. There's one thing I read when I was reading literature, and I will say thank you to Bill Towie, right, the man who heads the National Port Authority. Right. He taught me from 9th grade to 12th grade in Zero Catholic School. And I read his book, I just said, it's Ola Ritimi. Ola Ritima, that book. The guy said in that book, that book, and some things fell apart. He said, the writer said, when the evil men beat their drums to bring down the innocent, the gods will not allow their drum to sound. You know what I'm saying? In other words, no. When the evil man beats their drum or the evil man plots against you, the God will set him up, they will not allow that evil to prevail. No. In the real sense now. Yeah. But he was speaking because they were in a traditional setting where people worship many gods. So Ola Ritimi was saying, if the evil men beat their drums against a man who is innocent, the drum will not sound. Yeah. But in our setting where we are Christians, we will say the God Jehovah God will not allow that drum to sound. So even they planning now, they say Georgia is a wicked president. Don't elect him come 2027, 2023. Elect us. It is just a mere bluff because they have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
If you give them power right now, they will milk this country to the bone to the extent that you will not know your own country, Liberia. That's why the post says it's better to be with the devil you know than an angel you have not seen. But let me end on this note, my brother.
Yeah.
Those of you in a, United Party doesn't have any argument here. You are the least amongst the people arguing here because you have no face. You squandered opportunities and abused time in this country, as evident of what your Senate Bureau Joseph Newman Parker said to us. He was a sitting vice president under Madam Sirleaf, and then he made his comments to make Madam Sirleaf unpopular. But he didn't know he was doing it to himself. You understand?
Yeah.
So if United Party is often to come to power, I can listen to ALP, I listen to United Party, Liberty Party, I listen to ANC. They have some argument more than United Party. They have no argument. And United Party must not be given even second chance or third chance to come to this country and say they want to be president or they want to lead this country. They don't worth anything. They are the most least belay. The most least belay. They are the United Party. They are the most least belay. But let me say this to you. So, weren't their revenue generated during any time? Wasn't there ARA that existed as a result of Efrida Tama working so hard? I must give her that accolade for herself. She did well to have taken the ARA from under the Minister of Finance and make it autonomous.
Yeah, they make it autonomous.
That led to revenue being generated the way it's been generated.
That we have today, the Bureau of Revenue Authority.
Of course, that was a gain. That one of the gains of the Unity Party I must have known to, and I would say thank you to Efrida Tama as a fast-sighted woman. But listen, Mr. McIntyre, when you hear, were they not collecting revenue at the time? They were.
You were?
I posted something this morning. I saw chain in the hands of LRA employees with a padlock, the padlock in their hands. They left from one place, from Pinsville City Hall, and everywhere they went to Monrovia, they were locking people businesses because they said they were not collecting revenue. They want people to pay revenue, right?
Yeah.
People are paying taxes to them. But those taxes, amidst those taxes they were paying to the Unity Party-led government, they were persistent budget shortfalls.
Yeah.
3 budget shortfalls. Did you know about that?
I heard that, yeah.
Ono Amakone. There were 3 budget shortfalls. It was as a result of ineptitude on the part of people who governed the system at the time in the sector, in the financial management sector. Whether the money they were collecting from domestic revenue were going to somebody's pocket or somebody's bank account, or it was being infused into the budget to inform our budget process, nobody knows.
No.
At the time, they had all the biggest money come to this country. Sometimes the World Bank will give direct budgetary support to the government. Knowing where our budget is a cash-based budget, right? But it's a projection. IMF was giving money to them for budget support, direct budget support. What happened to those monies were being collected from our partners abroad, and domestic revenue was being collected? What were they doing with the money they collected at the time? Did those money land in the pockets of people or the bank accounts of people? I'm just thinking Macintosh. Now, let me end on this one.
Yeah.
I was sent to be corrected. It came a time there was a noise in this country about our international partners providing, I think, $15 million to our country for the health sector. Amara Kone was the Minister of Finance. After 3 successive budget shortfalls, they said we'll give this money for the health sector. But guess what happened? When the money came, they appropriated the money the way they wanted to appropriate it, and they said they gave money to Phoebe Hospital, they gave money to Justin Fiado Hospital in Yekepa, and what place in Saclapia, right? Is that Saclapia? Or I don't know. Tabeta. They gave money to the other person in SYZ. They lied to the Liberian Post, say their money was appropriated and was given to those institutions. But guess what happened? The Senate Committee on Public Accounts invited this man who was the head of the institution. And then when they called him to appear with them, they asked him, did you receive money from the Minister of Finance as support to the budget, from the budget towards the Tabata Hospital? That man swears he did not receive 1 cent. They called a member Phoebe. Those guys pocketed that money. They never gave 1 cent to the health institutions. They ate the money. What they were doing was to reappropriate, because the guys of the World Bank were saying that you pay the money back. So what American were doing now was to reprogram it to put that money in the budget to be raised by the government and pay back the World Bank or IMF. I don't know who gave that money at the time. But the health people said they didn't receive 1 cent. That's how wicked these guys were. But anyway, let me listen to you. So scroll now.
Thank you so much, Jallah. Thank you so much. I know, thank you so much. That's why I love this show. Okay, quickly, with regards to what you want me to actually deliberate on, let me just put it in context quickly. Let me try to seek firstly in the ambience of public administration to elaborate people about the leadership style of President Weah on the city-led coalition government. And it relates to 2 pillars. 1, Weah's leadership proficiency on the Liberian government, and 2, Weah's leadership efficiency on the Liberian society. So quickly, the second aspect I'm trying to also seek is to rekindle the extreme hope and aspiration of the Liberian people about President Weah's leadership ability so as to help reshape the negative narratives among the critics and then provide an understanding that leads to a prudent judgment about President Dr. George Weah's leadership style. Okay, so quickly, in order to picture this, let me draw a comparative analysis with regards to the 5 past immediate leaders of Liberia in terms of the leadership style.
Yeah, so we're gonna get snapped.
I said we're gonna be started. So yeah, because of time, so we want to look at President William Vachatra Tubman. He was a benevolent dictator or an authoritative leader. Quickly,
but sometimes benevolent dictators are
no,
good.
but this is why we want to nullify in red minutes. We're talking about that, right?
So,
So hold on.
When Minister talk about benevolent dictators,
People didn't understand from that context.
I when I give to it, but
you
gotta understand.
you gotta understand.
That it was good.
Yeah, because he was a benevolent dictator, that was led him for 27 broken years.
Absolutely.
So okay, quickly, we don't have time much, all right? So we want to look at Samuel Kayando, all right? No, we want to look at William Richard Tubman, all right? William Richard Tubman indeed was a consecutive leader. We want to look at Samuel Kayando. He had 2 components of it. He became a dictator and then later on became a participatory leader. Because he had the first term of office and then the second term of office. And then we move up to Charles Gange Taylor. Purely a charismatic leader, all right? So we move up to Eden Johnson Sally, purely a participatory leader. Okay. Now, for the purpose of our discussion quickly, we want to move on to the man himself, Dr. George Manning Weah. So, in this component, we want to say that Dr. George Manning Weah is a laissez-faire leader.
And what is a laissez-faire leader?
And then it will interest you to know who a laissez-faire leader is quickly. So this leader, a laissez-faire leader, is the one that is involved with delegating duties and responsibility to people. But probably if you don't get it from that context, let me say a laissez-faire leader is involved in let go, let it be.
Okay.
Let go,
let it be,
and let it be. That component of leadership style,
and that's the style that George Weah had.
Precisely. let me speak for that context.
Okay, please.
So your leadership style depends on the environment that you inherit your government to.
Okay.
The environment you find your government in will make you to determine which style of leadership to adapt. All right. And so for this government, President Weah, he inherited this government from two perspectives. One, the economists say a broken economy, all right? You heard about that argument, all right?
Of course.
All right. And then the other aspect is that there were two government at the time. It would be to your imagination to know, for the context of political analysis, there were 2 governments. You had the Ellen Johnson-led government, and you had the Omei government. Probably you may not think about government in terms of only country, all right? But in terms of work activities. So you had a parallel government, the Maranseri-led government and the Omei government, all right? They had a budgetary effect that came down strictly on the Liberian economy. So you found out that today people will say that we are finding difficulty when it comes to the Liberian government. But that's just the issue. So quickly, a laissez-faire leader, Jallah, is a leader that have an attitude of trust and reliance on their employees.
Okay.
The laissez-faire leader have attitude of trust and reliance, and this is what this leader is demonstrating. When he appoints you to position, he have to trust
that you will deliver.
He is not jittering about your performance.
But he knows that believe before he appointed you.
Precisely, we'll take from that context. The second aspect is that laissez-faire leader don't macromanage or get too much involved. Jallah Grayfield, you've been appointed as what? Deputy Director
Public affairs.
at this place here, right?
Mhm.
He does not stand and look over you. What are you doing? When will you do this? No. What you
All
do?
he's interested in is delivery.
Precisely. Precisely. The second aspect has to, he does not give too much instruction or guidance. The basis of the laissez-faire approach is that people who you bring on board are people themselves who are professional-minded people. So you allow them to perform. You allow them to come out of the shell, to come with creativity. And this is how it's going to work. So this leader, he's also a leader that is self-disciplined. A laissez-faire leader must be self-disciplined. He must be able to abide by the rules. Do you know in our body politics, and what is obtaining now, you get the noise out there, why they making change the people?
Yeah.
Why are they making change people around? What happened? This government is too weak to rely. No. The laissez-faire leader is not interested in those things. What he's interested in is to ensure that people get to work, do their work, and he gives you time that you will exhaust all what you know best to your ability. And when it comes to the convincing point when the need arises, to say, let me make a reshufflement of my government, let me turn this person from this point to the other point, and that's how it goes about doing it. And
So, in other words, that leader is not a leader who takes action immediately based on the noise being caused by the people.
No, he's not intimidated.
Based on public sentiments.
He's not intimidated by that. He's concerned about making impact into the lives of people. That is why he brings people on board. And people have to get work. But listen to this aspect of it, Jallah. As a leader, if you have to bring people to work for you, and the moment people get to know your history is about intimidating them, they will not perform. They become very pretentious. They will not perform, they become very pretentious, all right? So people must be in their cage to explore their best, most especially in governmental sector. So these are issues that we understand that President he is a minister in the state of affairs through a laissez-faire leadership style, which is so good at this time in point. Another aspect we want to look at, Jallah, quickly is that President leadership style proficiency on the Liberian government. What are those things we want to allude to when we talk about proficiency? This issue is about bringing people in the government who are nationalistic. Bringing people in the government who are willing to adapt to his mindset as a leader. The vision that he has for his country, the growth and development, this plan of action, people should work in line, more especially with the PAPD. And these are things that constitute this good leadership style of President Weah. The next aspect has to do with appointing people into government who he understands that will have no fear or favor for whatsoever. They will do the best. Remember that again? People he appoints in government, they come with the understanding that they have no fear or favor. They are professional-minded people, and they will do their best to work and achieve the necessary desire of the president as it relates to impacting the life of the people. Let us look at the efficiency on the Liberian society.
Yeah, just in 1 minute.
Just in 1 minute quickly, all right? So, in terms of the impartation of national development, every corner of our Liberian society has been impacted with development activity in terms of the road connection, in terms of building of housing units, in terms of capacity building of our local traditional leaders. You're talking about the chiefs. Do you know that the president provided 15 vehicles in the 15 counties?
Over 100 motorbikes.
Exactly so, all right? These are things we want to talk about gradually as we approach issues surrounding the leadership style of President Dr. George Weah. So transforming this country, it has to do with a lot of things. So let us look at the issue, the gradual transformation of our educational system, all right? Our educational system under the government was characterized. It was labeled as what? Mess. Today we have managed. We have a managed educational system.
How do you call that?
A managed education system. A managed educational system.
M-A-N-G.
Exactly so.
E-D.
You transform from mess to manage.
To manage.
What are those things that constitute manage? One, we want to look at the issue of tuition free at the University of Liberia.
Okay.
When you say this thing is messed up, you need to put system into
Yes.
place.
So what did he do at the time was when it was a mess?
When it was a mess, all right? Let's look at the issue of the continuity of the payment of the high school graduates fees, all right? At the level of WACs, all right? So these are things we want to really look at when we talk about the efficiency on the Liberian society. But we don't have time much again. We hope that we will.
Yes, we
take
are
up much time
spending
to
the
spend our
Minister
time here.
of the Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism, Ledgerhood Rennie to join us later. But I will open the line for a few minutes to listen to the people who want to talk. And we'll come back at a time when Ledgerhood comes. Then we go straight to business as we're talking about the Easter of the July 26th celebration. This one said, "Good day, Mr. Grayfield. This is your friend John Okefremo from Bangabong County. I was the one that talked to you on the social media about launching an appeal to on the state radio for help to go back to school. Sir, as I told you the last time, I have a visual problem, short-sightedness, that makes it difficult for me to..." Okay, that is a private issue. Sorry for that. This guy said, "Jallah, you are right. Back road of the former vice president have been rehabilitated by the Minister of Public Works." Okay, thank you. Yeah, my man first not told me that he has been rehabilitated. But that place was very bad for all the years. The back, when you come from the president's house right now,
Yeah,
that road that
rehab
passes
there.
at the back of the former vice president's house,
The drive
that
down to
place there,
Subasa, yeah.
it was so terrible.
All right.
Thanks to Minister Kuka Collins who has done that. Let me announce the numbers now. 080514096, 080514096, 0770560560, 0776680373. I have the numbers. Hello, welcome. Good evening, welcome. Let's hear you. Oh, yeah, I'm Halisa. Is that my uncle Ed Bobo? Ed Bobo, let's hear you, brother.
And thank you so much for the zero games with what you guys are doing. EMBC let me say that President we are coming to the election, let people conduct to that. We want to give it them one time. When we do it, the balance money you have to run up, that will be phased out local roads.
So you say in 2023 you only vote one time for the president to be president, right?
And save the balance money.
Hey, Ed Bobo, thank you, man. Thank you so very kindly. Ed Bobo, let me take the next caller from here. The caller drop the lines. Let me see. Let me take Honorable Bob Ivangizi, the man who comes from the Lofa County, from the area called Feasible. Hello, welcome, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Jallah. Good evening to your colleague studio.
Good evening, sir.
Quite frankly, I called to talk about some of the development. When you talk about budget, there's an increase in budget now, especially for Southern District of recent where we benefited. Since 1847, this country was created.
And since 1864, Lofa was also created.
1964.
1964, yeah.
Jallah, we have never had a district hall that can accommodate our guests in terms of program. Every time, what fronted the president was that when he came, he's also to host the Dark County tour. Can you imagine we had to host it in the OP under the Pantage?
Amen.
So, the children have suffered too much. And while we now have a district hall today, we just, Honorable Bessie and them broke ground for that district hall and want to be all.
Wonderful.
The city hall, so that we're going to serve on all kinds of purposes. We're going to be an event hall. We'll have it for program on Jallah no longer. Our people will be in the race.
So that's part of the impact the revenue collection is doing, domestic revenue.
Precisely, so that's it.
This time around, this government is giving us back some of our money, but unlike previous government will take it to the US and other part of the world. But today, we ourselves give our money to the government.
But
it's also quickly before you go. It's also between someone and salary. Most of the time when our president will be come to current hospital, they have to be living with their friend, or sometimes they have to get home to go back. This leadership, they decided that they will do a hospital unit for those women who will be in those conditions. You will have in those units, remain there, you deliver safely, and recover adequately before you can go back to your.
And I'm told those housing units will be completed before December.
Before December, Chief.
Wow.
They said before December, as you speak.
George Weah will face it. George Weah is facing it. Thank you so very kindly, Bob. Thank you, Bob. All right. Hello, the next caller. Let's hear you quickly. Where do you call from? What's your name? Please stop. Don't listen to the radio. Reduce your monitor and talk to me. What's your name? Oh, Peter Warner. Let's hear you, my brother. How are you? Oh, he gone off. Let me take this other caller from here. Welcome. We on the state radio, ERBC radio.
Thank you, Jallah. This is
Hilton Ledgerhood, how are you, the proper defender?
Yes, I'm calling from my purple corner in Lokita.
Oh, let's say it quickly.
Hi to my boss in your studio.
Yeah, the man is here. And I see my uncle Ibe Plaki trying to call me. If I'll take your corner, don't worry, I'll take you. Jallah.
Sorry for that. Jallah, the first people who re-elect president, we are very untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
We are not saying you should elect president, we are because you will tell you the true blue. And this time it's good for the because that says they will protest on August 24, the many, the legislature to pass one and that is pollution free and the state running the budget. I will support them because they want pass, but little brother and family will not pay one fee again.
No, man, don't have to watch. You pay 1 cent.
Absolutely. So if you say all the state running the budget in Liberia, you're passing into law, let me build, say to ask. Actually, you won't go to any school is that when a government school, you're going to get quality of this free. These are the things we're looking for.
Okay.
To my boss again for a liquidation.
Thank you. Let me take my uncle Ibe Plaki. Ibe, you live on the nation's highest radio, ERBC. Ibe, you go? Hey, man, my uncle. Ibe, you there? Ibe, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay, Ibe is there. Ibe, welcome. How are you, my brother?
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. How are you? Let's hear you, my brother. My uncle.
Thanks for having me this afternoon. It's my pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you on the line, my brother.
Well, I think that the leadership characterization of our president by the studio guest
No, he's not a guest. He's my comrade. We hear yes, we're comparing notes. So he's a political committee and administrator.
is unfair. You talk about laissez-faire, you got autocratic, democratic, and transformational. But the we are not taking any of those.
Who fits in it?
Why you fix?
Listen, I will engage you. Who fits in those? Who fits in those one? Is it former Vice President Boakai?
I let you know, Bob, if I give
Does Joseph Boakai fit in all of any of those categories?
well, let me give you an example. Everything that he learned. The president gave the Television Hospital 100,000 in the budget. And then the wife of the president got 700,000 in our
Amen.
budget. Then you're talking about a transformational or a necessary leader. The president is fast.
When did he see the budget and read those in the budget?
Let me tell you, the 15 county hospital combined, 15 companies hospital combined budget cannot even reach the president budget. By the time you talk about
So he said 700,000 after the money now that again reach. My man, combine. So it means that the 15 counties, he said 700,000, but the 15 counties, everybody got 500,000, money for the budget. No, I'm saying, but you saying that, no, you don't listen. I'm just making a comparative analysis. You said the office of the first lady has 700,000, right? But if you combine all of the hospitals in the country, it can reach 700,000. I was asking, I say, so if you combine them one by one, it will not reach 700,000?
Where do you put it?
But listen, you didn't answer my question here. Let's go by the first lady first. Let's go back to the first lady question. So you see why you don't how you defeating yourself now?
And the man gave luxury of time you talk. He said, wait, you are looking to keep again.
So if all the hospitals in this country getting 100,000, you have 15 counties, right? So how many million how many 100,000
1.5 million. 1.5 million.
Amen. My man. You are so economical with the truth and very disingenuous right here. No, but you are not sincere. You are disingenuous to the point, to the extent that you even lie to the Liberian people and told them bold-faced lie. The first thing is to say that if you put all of the hospitals together, that budget doesn't reach, the budget of the first lady, then you lie. You are claiming the first lady has 700,000 or whatsoever in the budget, and all the hospitals in the country will have 15,000 or 1,500. Okay, Eva, you can tell the time. Thank you. I always gave you this time because you are my uncle and I want because you are from the opposition side.
Thank you.
Uncle, thank you, man. Uncle, thank you. Uncle, thank you.
You lie, you better lie what I want, right?
Hello, welcome. Let's hear you. I see the emissary of the
You got to bury the truth in how, right?
Timeku is here. Let me see after the minister is around. Hello, let's hear you quickly. No time. What's your name? Hello. No. Hello. No, don't say that. Don't say that on this radio. That man has a right to say. Don't say it.
Talk about your issue.
Please don't say that next on this radio. Please take it back. I apologize to the man for that. Okay, go ahead. Man, now, Baba. Nya imeni boku kwa kuma meni boku wait. The man put it fellow. Hello, welcome. Welcome, let's say it quickly. You sound like Imana Topa. Is that Imana Topa from the Veteran Bureau? The minister is almost around here, so you make it there 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. Okay. We cannot give that. Unity Party has no argument here. These guys milk this country to the boom. If you give the boom back to them, they will crack the boom and they will lick the marrow from the boom. They can't make it. They already run away. Able to say, you can respond to blackmail or whatsoever, but the people want to remove people from your headquarters, you get money to pay the people. The men are having to pay the money. They told the men from power. They told Ami Muda from there. Ami Muda can't pay the money again, so they want. My man, thank you, man. Thank you. Let me tell the next caller. Hello, welcome. Thank you. The next caller, let's say you welcome.
How you doing?
I'm okay, sir. Welcome. Let's say quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, Freeport, man. Let's say quickly.
How you doing?
My man, good old God money also. Okay. You from Masamola who? My man, I want the Masamola who on 26th day, my man. The place so beautiful, man. Well laid out.
Oh, yes.
And it has the biggest mosque. I'm told that's the biggest mosque in Lofa County, right?
Yes, too much.
Yeah, man. So the place so beautiful. Very beautiful landscape. I saw the place. 26th day I was there. I was dancing with my man in there.
Yeah, our place there.
Okay. The person don't forget, yeah? Hello, the next caller. Let's hear you. I'm okay. Let's say it quickly. The minister you mentioned is already here. Let's say the last caller. Okay, your name is Kiang Balagulutu?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Nelly Want to go.
Yeah, I was with that.
Okay.
You see,
Mm-hmm.
Marx was saying,
Mm-hmm.
he said, if you are leading and no one is following you, it means that you are just taking a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
People are actually following George Weah. But you see, the greed in the opposition,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful, so you say this, some of them stroke cases around 2023.
There will be plenty.
I'm telling you, stroke cases because that's
There will be plenty because somebody will be in hospital. They wouldn't believe it.
precisely, and so that will be designed by force. So after 2023, mark my word was today, I need to do a tell also. Mark my word today.
Kiang Balagulu, I'm saying to you, in all of these arguments we are puffering here, Unity Party has no argument. They have nothing. They milk this country to the boom. And you allow them to take the broom by, they will break it and they will lick the marrow from the broom. We cannot give them state power again. The other guys may have argument. They don't have no argument.
They don't have argument. Let me put it this way, brother. You've been working with NPC for them for time. Or making employee also, right? Now, if that is so that you don't have house for you renting, if you cannot pay your rent for almost 10, 15 years you've been working, you cannot pay your rent. It's a big distress.
Thank you. I'll take one more call. The minister just climbed the stairs. He has to take a breath, something breath before I put you on. Hello, welcome. You're live. Let's say you're the final caller.
Thank you, Jallah Grayfield. This is Grace. You personally with Grace, and this is my best.
I mean, where you been? Where have you been?
I'm in Grand Basel.
Wow.
See how there we can control the political atmosphere on the side.
Okay, let's say it quickly.
Thank you. You know, for me in politics, I like to be real.
Okay.
No one should say that the unity party is not a factor in our body politics. No, because they put rule for 12 years. Except that
So ruling for 12 years made them to be more, they make them to be the biggest party in this country?
no, I'm not saying they are the biggest. I said they are still factor, in the body politics of Liberia, except that they are least usefulness and the change is going, towards the CDC, to the CDC angle because they are prospect that the people are seeing and on the basis of those prospect that the people are seeing that you, other people have been cataloging. So the
Okay.
issue you have is second term. That's the reason, but we should not underestimate anybody when it comes to politics.
Okay, thank you so very kindly. Let me go to this one. And this one is called Protect Our Leaders. It is by PCK. Nangala de Menkami. This guy is asking God to protect our leaders. Pray for the president. His Excellency Ambassador Dr. George Manang Begube. Sekuzi for the Koron, Jirate Tanon Tapiwia. All appointed officials in government. Where's my old man and my Oma Esther Walker? Negag Bangao. Nangag Banga. The men come in, that's what the guy is saying to God, please protect them. Watch over them as guardian angels. And once God watches over us as people, watches over the leaders of the country, everything goes very straight. As soon as my guys are set up to capture the portrait, to capture the face of the Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism, the erudite professor, a mass communication lecturer, we'll cross over to him very shortly. Father, save us from this pandemic. Oh yes, Liberia is getting better. Pape oh, let your Rennie guy go. Pape oh, Joe we are going. Oh yes, good nepore Joe Howard to the Neswako Mayo Kayanga. Oh, Father Gayanga. We are going. You cannot afford to go away because the best is yet to come. As soon as the Minister of Information mounts the microphone, we go straight over to him. Remember Jallah Grayfield chapter 1 verse 1. Let's talk and talk and talk and never shall we fight. Fighting shall never be our portion. This is the LBC Radio. Welcome to the Bumper Show. It is on 99.9 and other frequencies across the country. Bobby Addison tells me that a station called Radio People has joined us. It's relaying right now Radio Sanquin and all of our affiliate radio stations apart from the 9 that ALBS has. They are all relaying this broadcast and everyone is tuned to the show because one of Liberia's intellectual giants is here to talk about what happened on the 26th of this month, what is being planned, and here is the mouthpiece of the government. I have no much to say again, but I welcome the Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism, the Honorable Ledgerhood J. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Jallah. Thank you.
Is that microphone? Okay, yeah, it's on there.
Thank you, Jallah, and let me say good evening to all of those listening to us here in the Bumper Show from across the country, and those following us on the social media, wherever you are. I hope you find this thought-provoking and intellectually stimulating to listen to what we have to discuss here. This
And the broadcast voice is never busy.
well, you're having the fun of your life. I'm listening to you coming in the radio. I mean, coming through in the traffic, and I'm here watching you. Reminds me of my time on the radio too.
I know.
You know, so
When I was on your tutelage at Radio Veritas.
yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah. Mr. Rennie, welcome again, and I'm happy to have you. It was good that we had this conversation because there have been a lot of myth around this whole thing about July 26th celebration. Yesterday, it was announced by the government. Before then, President George Bush spoke to the country because there have been this feelings about Liberia for some Liberians that the president is quiet about everything that happened, and he's now speaking. He spoke, and he cleared the air and said, those who were involved in the violence that took place on the day of our celebration on July 26th, there will be no room for escapees. Now you've come to give us some information. Where are we in terms of the rule of law? The police yesterday announced that they have grabbed 7 persons, and then they will arrest other people. But let's start with that. Give us some gist about the whole process, what's going on.
One of the most important lessons to learn from all of this unfortunate situation our country has seen since the celebration of yet another independence of our patrimony is the fact that we have to eschew violence. We have to put that away from us in our democracy, in our disagreements, in all of the discourses that we undertake. Because at the end of it all, there are no winners. Liberia loses when these things happen. And that is why some of us who are given the opportunity now to talk to the country, to talk to Liberians about the future of our country, we would like to take the opportunity at reminding ourselves of the bitter past and what violence has done to our country. Growing up in the 60s and 70s in Liberia was far different from what it is today. Peaceful community, family values, morals were high. You know, people looked after each other. Their neighbors were almost like family to you. Today is a whole different ballgame, and that has happened because of the 14 years of our fratricidal civil war. It broke down all of the different facets of our moral fabric. And we're trying to pick up the pieces. It is not an easy thing to do. Remember, if somebody was born in 1990, January 1, 1990, all he has known for his first 14 years of his life would be violence.
Absolutely.
You know? And so that is why when we talk to people about eschewing violence, we mean it from the depth of our hearts. And, you know, President Weah epitomizes the peace and tranquility of our country. He has shown in many demonstrable ways how we are to behave as Liberians. He was on the soccer pitches in Europe when we decided that we will destroy ourselves, destroy our country. He remained that only bastion of peace and hope, flying Liberia flag high in the Committee of Nations, using his personal resources to travel Europe and other parts of the world, the Americas, talking about the essence of peace and calling for disarmament, calling for cessation of hostilities. Today he's the president of the country.
And personally participating in this armament of young
Personally,
people.
he participated in the disarmament process. Again, some of the very people who are today talking about the essence of democracy and peace were the proponents of the war. When President Weah was just there trying to help in bringing peace and tranquility to our country and helping to disarm the young cadres of our country. So when we hear them, we laugh. But we are the leaders of today. We have to behave in ways that are exemplary. That is why when the president, when July 26 happened, as the leader of the country, people say, oh, he didn't speak immediately. It is not about speaking immediately. It is about how and when you speak, and when you speak, what is it you're saying?
And what impact it makes.
And the impact it makes. That's fair enough. Okay, leaders are made. A leader does not necessarily mean that everything happens, you behave as though you're the lion in the jungle. If you know the story, the animal story, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So July 26th happened. The young people of our country, two different shades of political opinions, met and did what they did. Despicable. There is no way you can put it. It brought shame to the country.
On our independence, so we had international people, presidents of Africa.
Overshadow all of the good things that happened on that day. We had leaders of our continent come to celebrate with us, celebrate with President Weah, celebrate with the country its 175th independence. And some young people decided that they will behave in a manner and fashion in which they behave. We as a government immediately condemned that. We condemned that. The Ministry of Justice, through the Ministry of Information, in a press statement that I signed, the following day condemned in no uncertain terms the violence. And the Minister of Justice was quick to order the Liberia National Police to immediately launch a full-scale investigation to bring the perpetrators of the violence to justice. That was the initial appropriate first step from the perspective of the government to dealing with this matter. And then we had a slew of other condemnations coming from different shades of our society, which is fair enough. People were concerned. While we all were there at the pavilion, celebrating and talking about patriotism and reminding of ourselves of our collective responsibility to nationhood, our young brothers and sisters engage in such. So we're not happy about it. The president is the president of the country. Imagine yourself being the father of a home in the Liberian structure. The fathers do not usually talk until they have a fuller understanding of situations at home. When something happens home where everybody yelling, so now the pavilion just relax in the chair.
Yeah.
The old man can say, you're not talking in that case?
You waiting?
It's not that they're not concerned about what has happened, but they're trying to get a grips of the entire situation. That is the president of the country. He was at the pavilion when this thing happened, entertaining his international friends.
And I was saying yesterday,
and Jallah, wait, I'm trying to set a pace here.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes we criticize anything for no reason.
Okay.
So the president is at the pavilion. Things happen. There is a national security team set up by the country. The president wanted to have a fuller understanding. That is why on Saturday, what a lot of people didn't know, the president called for a national security meeting last Saturday.
Wow. After that,
to get a fuller understanding of what had obtained. President don't act on basis of what he sees or what is on Facebook or what we're writing, and talking on radio. He has to have a fuller brief and understanding from his trusted security forces and from his able lieutenants. Unfortunately, that meeting was not held on Saturday because of other clashing engagements. So the president had that meeting on Monday at 11 o'clock at the executive mansion. It was after he received a full brief from the National Security Council of Liberia. He decided as president of the country, look, this warrants me talking to my people.
Okay.
This warrants, even though I've heard from you, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Information, and all of you security people and everybody else, that you people have, that this matter has been condemned. But as the father of the country, I too have to weigh in and add my voice. Why are you people waiting? It is about time that we start to make some arrests and make sure that we bring the perpetrators of violence to justice. I am the president, a man of peace. That was the message the president was sending to the nation. So regardless of all the things you'll do, you'll say about me, I make sure that the peace of this country is maintained. And so then he spoke. And then the naysayers come back and say, oh, you know, it's belated. Belated what? He went further to say, look, all those who were acting in my name, say that they have come in my name in support of my administration, must do so in a peaceful and civil manner. Because I am the man of peace. I'm the father of peace. This country has seen a lot of violence. And we know the story. No need to regurgitate the story. We're still reeling from the devastation. And let me add the catastrophic devastation of our country. Today, we're about 100 years back because of what we did to ourselves. So nobody's going to shield anything. Nobody's going to promote violence. The president is not a man of violence. He's shown that so many times, unprovoked. People questioned, people said we're going to stone his convoy. It's a threat to the president of the country.
Absolutely, it is.
Several years back, just think down the road, 10 years down the road. If
You
you
don't have said that.
you even dream of saying that you will stone president convoy, you can be who? You will think twice. Your family people will call family meeting for you and say, what is it you're trying to do to
Our
us?
assembly said that's why
Yeah.
you lead that thing.
But President Weah didn't say anything. He has not been moved. He's unfazed by all of the unwarranted provocations. Lawmakers insult him every day, call him all sorts of names. Every time he comes to speak to the public, if there's one single word that he uses 100 times, is peace. Because he's trying to tell Liberia that all that we've done, we should not subvert the peace of our country, the peace and tranquility of our country.
Now, Mr. Minister, many people thought that the president speaking to the Liberian people was as a result of being under immense pressure from international partners. And that's why he spoke. And then and the other people say, oh, he must speak now, he must speak on the same day. But then the international partners whom they think that he was under pressure from released a press statement. Let me first of all hear you. Was the president under immense pressure from our international partners to speak?
To the contrary. To the contrary. Because already the government had made a position statement
Okay.
that we put out through the Ministry of Justice, for the Ministry of Justice, to the Ministry of Information, to the public, that this act of violence was unacceptable, had no place or will have no place in today's democracy of our country, in the political realm of our country. Mind you, the militancy of the kids today has its roots deeply entrenched in the border politics of our country long before President Weah came to power. Long before President Weah came to power. The introduction of guns and militancy in our country didn't start from this government.
No.
So why are people forgetting immediately their recent history and past? No. This sort of, when we talk about the bellicose and belligerent rhetorics that you hear our young people spew every now and then, if they have a grievance, is coming from the historical past, the past of some of the very people who are today talking about condemning violence. When they come to speak, how they speak. That is why the other day I said the culture of dialogue has to change. The debate now has to take a different form because the young people are learning, fastly learning. Every day people get on the radio, they get on social media. Leaders of our country speak as though they're about to go to war. And mind you, most of them who are speaking the way they're speaking have their best friends across the aisle. Yes.
And who are some of the best friends then?
I mean, just my own thing is not to call names, but watch carefully.
So they talk all of these things in a day, they in a night, they are maneuvering to reach
good
this.
Friends.
Oh yes, I'm
Good
just gonna
friends.
understand what you're saying.
Good friends.
And they reach out to those
But
friends.
they rev up the young people as though the people are blood enemies. No, it's not true.
Okay.
They meet from time to time. They share lunch. They share drinks.
Do they reach out to you sometime too,
And
Mr.
they talk-
Minister?
Yes.
Okay.
We are all friends. I got more friends in the opposition than I have in the ruling party today. Yes. It's a fact. But when you hear them talking as though we're not friendly any longer, no, it's not true.
Yeah.
We're friendly and we laugh.
So they come, they demon
call.
slay at night.
They call. Damn, man, I tell what you want to do. I know you're a fever.
Yeah.
But you're only fooling the young people,
Of course.
making them to believe that we are arch enemies. We have political differences, and our differences are fair enough with respect to how we carry our country.
Mr. Minister.
But we have to change the rhetorics to be able to set a new tune of politics.
Mr. Minister, the CDC COP, which President George had denounced that it is not part of the CDC. Anyone who wants to be part of the CDC must go and join. And then they have arrested some of the members, headed by Ben Belief Tupa, who are now in the police dragnet. Now, what do we say? Because when I read this statement coming from the international community, which I'll read a few lines for you, talk about something. They said the international community is in Liberia having learned with concern of the serious violence committed in Monrovia on July 26, condemns without reservation such act which occurred on the 175th anniversary of independence. Now it goes to say, we urge a prompt and thorough investigation by the police that will bring to justice the instigators and perpetrators of these acts of violence. Now, if you see what the police have now, are people who they call the perpetrators. So where are the instigators? I'm thinking because a colleague of mine said to me, he's a journalist, he said to me, I was driving around the Mapa Point area and I saw some militants of the Student Unification Party burning tires on the road. Why do we just have members of the COP, of the CDC now in the police dragnet? Where are the rest of the guys who were the instigators?
One of the things we need to, there are two catch words first in that statement that you should take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Without reservation, it means that we don't care who's involved.
Okay.
Perpetrators,
Instigators,
instigators,
yeah.
we condemn the violence. All right? One person can fight that, two people can fight. So we condemn the violence. It also says, look, from what we have as the international community, there were people who were instigators and were those who perpetrated. Those two groups of people have to face the full weight of the law. Now, to the extent of the police investigation, I would say to you, let the police do its work. These are still early days. I know in certain quarters, people are beginning to murmur that, oh, they're only arresting one group of people. But no one is above the law. the police too is under obligation not to act arbitrarily in the execution of the mandate as given by His Excellency. Investigators are doing their combing. The wheels of justice do grind, but they grind slowly. In time, all of those responsible, whether perpetrators or instigators, as established by the police, will be brought before the law. So let's just be a little more patient, because I'm sure we don't want a situation where arbitrariness is done as a result of people trying to satisfy political persuasions. When the police act, it's not acting on the basis of politics. They're acting on the basis of the evidence that is before them.
Okay, but Mr. Minister, before the president spoke, the police spokesman released a statement that up to that time, they have not identified anyone who was involved in the violence. And when the president spoke, there was some release, there was some actions taken in terms of arrest. So was the president call made, was his statement a call to action?
The president's statement was a marching orders to the National Security Forces to double up your efforts. We need to get this thing, up and running. Don't drag your feet. Let's make sure that we get this investigation up and running. Start to bring some people in so that we can know. Because again, like I say, when violence happens, especially at that scale, it takes time for people to identify who's who, where do they live, and how do you deal with them. All these kinds of things. People who did January 6th in the United States, some of them are still at large. They're still being, the FBI is still going through tons and tons of video footages to make sure that they can pick up those relevant people. For us, we don't have the kind of sophistication. And mind you, people with such a sophistication still face the rigors of trying to get it right. Mm-hmm. Let's not push the police into arbitrariness. They will get it right. If there are people who are responsible, whether perpetrators or instigators, that are supposed to be picked up to face the law, they will do so.
Okay.
They will definitely do so.
Now, so, Mr. Minister, on the other side, many Liberians on the other side of the aisle believe that this violence, those were the instigators, were programmed, and this action was planned by members of the opposition that led to what happened on that fateful day. That they stood up somewhere burning tires and singing slogans of anti-slogans of peace and XYZ. What have you noticed from your side as a chief spokesman of government? Do you think in your mind what these people are saying that it was planned by the opposition and orchestrated by them was justified?
The police have said to the public, and it's not what I think, it's what should really happen. And this is what the police proceeding methodically. Those with evidence to help in the investigation should come forward. If that's what you have alluded to is the case, then people will have to be brought to justify their role. Because instigating is not just about coming on the street and saying, you're chung rock, or you're in chung rock, or you're burnt tire or don't burn tire. It could mean financial support.
Okay.
It could mean verbal
instructions.
Actions and inactions that help to instigate or perpetrate violence can be made, people can be brought to book for it. So I'm saying to you and all of us, Liberians, let's give the police a chance to do their work. Let's void this investigation of the politics, because that's partisan politics. Every side has its own story to tell about what happened on July 26th. Mm-hmm. But the investigation will tell us what really happened. Okay. Who were responsible. Remember, there's a national intelligence community of our country. They too will help the police in this investigation. So, we should not jump to hasty conclusions or make or rush generalizations because we think that we want certain things to happen. Let the investigators do their work. And I believe that the police will come to the bottom of it all, and justice will prevail in the end.
Now, Mr. Minister, on the other side of it, the police has arrested these people who are predominantly from the CDC COP, as they call themselves. I've not heard anything about being charged and sent to court. How soon do we expect them to go to court? Because if you are arrested by the police, you are charged and sent to court, and the judicial process takes on as after that. How soon do we expect these guys to go to court?
The law provides for a 48-hour window of the police to do its investigation when people are arrested before they can formally issue a charge, and then an arraignment before a competent court of jurisdiction. So in that 48 window period, the police is still doing its work. We have not exhausted that 48-hour window period.
Mm-hmm.
So let's allow the law to take its place. But one of the things I also want to talk about, Jallah,
Mm-hmm.
is this quote-unquote thing that the president threw quote-unquote CDC COP people under the bus.
Okay.
You continue to hear that. Look, let's be serious here. Let's be serious here. Take your son or my son, for example. I call him Ledgerhood Julius Rennie Jr., right?
Mm-hmm.
But he has a nickname in a community that they all call him. Fruity, 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 fruity. I'm Ledgerhood.
Mm-hmm.
But Omer is listening to me. If he's listening to me today, he doesn't know this Marco Simoni name that you call me every time. So if you went to my house to ask for Marco Simoni, he might tell you, say, I'm not living there. Or I don't have a son called Marco Simoni. Because my actual name is Ledgerhood Julius Rennie. It's not Marco Simoni. I earned that thing on the football field. You understand what I'm saying to you?
As a good footballer.
So the political party CDC, I don't like to get into the partisan aspect of this because again, you run the risk of trying to defend. And I didn't come here to defend violence or to shield anything. But one must be clear here. If there are established institutions in political party,
Mm-hmm.
and people within the political party decide to give themselves nomenclatures that are not part of the institutional framework of the party, then it is fair enough to say we don't know. Usually call these groups, not that they are not partisans or not members. And that's what the president was trying to say, not to throw anybody under the bus. The president is a man of peace. Even we've seen situations where children do something wrong at home and wrong in the community and run to the house. My old man used to tell me, say, if you cause trouble in the community and come home,
Mm-hmm.
and they put rum behind you, they don't think you'll find safe haven here.
I will also be you too.
You will not find safe haven here. I will make sure the people who's supposed to carry you will carry you.
That's a good parenting.
Because that's good parenting. That's how we grew up in a Liberia that I know that I grew up in the 60s, 70s, and prior to the war. Any parent that seeks to shield their children or their child because of a negative behavior is perpetrating or supporting that bad habit. President Weah is a man of peace. He is saying, look, all of this happened, there was no reason for it to happen. There's no reason. The president is the father of all Liberian children. UP, CDC, LP, PLP, you name them, ANC, and the rest of them. He doesn't see white, black, blue, green, color. He sees Liberian kids. And if they behave in ways that have brought disgrace to us, because whether we like it or not, this thing has gone international.
Yeah.
Then we have to act so that next time they know that what they do will not be tolerated. They'll not be tolerated.
Now, Mr. Minister, before we
So
go,
those who are even talking president, throw people on the bus, should be hailing the president. Hailing the president. And I see what I call a sycophantic way of trying to turn this whole thing around to tell the young people who support the government, say, look, and you see it now. You're telling you're doing this. But quite frankly, that is not the intent of the president. The president does not see young divided children. He sees his children at home. All of them belong to the Liberia that we all strive for a better future. And so if they behave wrongly, then he has a right to say, look, all of them, whoever responsible, should bear the full weight of the law.
I have one more question for you. Then I'll allow the public to interact with you, Mr. Minister.
Sure.
But let me welcome the guys who joined us on our live Facebook feed. Bob Ivangisi, Bobby Nash, Maata, Habasta Zima, Indomitable Ruben. He said, thank you, Mr. Minister. Let Jallah hear it that you guys are not enemy. Said, dear family, welcome. And Clarence Benson, my friend, is following me from Canada. Orlando Colimilin is our Bond County correspondent. Is following us along with Alfonso Pearson and Andrew Tiller, all in the USA. I will come and read some of your comments later if time permits us. But Mr. Minister, there have been these naysayers, critics of the government saying, just after or while it was being announced that President Weah has been invited to the United States to sit with President Joe Biden and African leaders to discuss issues affecting Africa. On that day, a few minutes after it was announced and he accepted, violence has ensued in this country, and that the president of the free world might be thinking of maybe denying him from going to the African Leaders Forum in America. Do we see how the president going?
The president's visit to the United States is solidly on course. It's solidly on course. Our relationship with the United States remains unwavering and unbending.
Okay.
We, as a country, will continue to work with all of our international friends and partners to ensure the betterment of Liberia in the consolidation of our democracy, which is important first, in the consolidation of our peace, and then the development of our country. Because if we don't do the things that are necessary to ensure peace and tranquility in our country, the democratic gains that we're making will be easily reversed, and then we slide down the slippery slope of violence. No one wants that. No one wants that. Certainly not the government headed by President Weah. We've been provoked so many times, unprovoked so many times. We've been provoked so many times, unwarrantedly. But President Weah has continued to tell the security forces and people of our country that do not act outside of the law so that the peace is not trampled upon, and will continue to do that. Our democratic credential is clear, and that is why he's earned that visitation to the White House. In fact, he's among a number of select leaders again from Africa to travel to the United States again, sometimes next year.
After December.
After December. This time to meet with President Biden. Select number of African leaders.
It tells me that
he's becoming a privileged, a privileged president.
Yeah.
Because read a statement from the international community, what it says about democracy. It said Liberians have demonstrated over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That it is consolidating its democracy, holding free, fair, democratic elections.
Absolutely.
And deepening its institutions that are responsible for the conduct of not just electioneering, which is democratic, but also the upholding of the rule of law, which is a tenet of democracy. Let us jaw, to borrow from the late Joe Moba. Let us jaw than to war.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you.
Let me interact with the callers for the Liberian people for a few minutes. On our, that's for 5 minutes, and I'll let about 5 minutes for the minister to respond to some of your assertions, your questions, and then you will answer them. Andrew Tiller is watching us from America. Orlando Fayasami, the mayor who helped to liberate Lofa Foya district from the hands of the UP, is also here. Molba Bisa is also here as well. and he said to me, Nephew Foya has fallen. Lofa has fallen to the CDC, and 2023 will be a clear example, a repetition of what happened in the by-election. The first caller is here. Hello, welcome. What's your name? Where do you call from? 20 seconds for each caller. Hello? Good afternoon. You have 20 seconds. No time. Let's go ahead quickly. Cleveland, Maryland, Canada. Let's hear it quickly. Thank you. Thank you. The next caller is here. Welcome. Let's hear it quickly, my brother. Hello? You live? Let's hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. And let me say the pleasant good day to the
Okay.
My name is Clement Hussein X, and I'm from the district of time.
Okay.
And yes, so I left Parliament social media, and members of the SOAP party are alleging that those that were arrested by the national police are not in the political review. And they are claiming that those guys who inside and then after they go home and then return the death money. Can you speak to that or thank you.
All right. Thank you. The next caller. Hello. Welcome. Let's hear it quickly. Hello. Welcome. Let's hear you, my friend. Go ahead. The next caller. Hold on the line, please. Hold the line.
Thank you, Jallah Grayfield. This is Grayfield.
You're calling from Buchanan, Grand Bassa County.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
You know, I mean, some of us know the issue of SOAP.
Mm-hmm.
No political institution in Liberia can influence the decision of SOAP. Central Committee and Politburo competently that runs the day-to-day affair and give mandate to every Medicaid that will participate in every struggle. So nobody should portray any government, whether Joria is there, Joria is there.
So you saying to me that nobody can arm to a soup? That what you say?
No. For the training alcohol for SOAP, nobody can do
So, but things change over the years. The way the guys conduct themselves, it tells you that sometimes they are arm twisted by some people in higher places.
When we were there, during
You said when you were there, but things have changed.
during the Manasiri Step Back campaign, there were issues that organization of CDC were performing, and so ESL were also performing issues.
All right.
But then it was not an opposition issue, it was an issue of funding for the market.
Thank you, E. Person will get grace. Thanks a lot. Let me take Omer Brand Tati, former superintendent of Grand Junior County, with his wisdom here. Honorable, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Jallah, you told me, let me say good evening to the minister.
Yeah.
Jallah, minister said something. I'm sure he said it in part, but it's important for Monrovia.
Okay.
You know, one that just ask a question to the minister, but let me just go ahead for to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
The crimes that are available, even if they came to the police station now, lawyers can go there and stand for you. Those are available crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tell me they are being charged for treason, which is a capital offense.
So if this crime is bailable, there's nothing wrong with them being bailed, right?
Of course, they can arrest you today, and then your lawyer can immediately go there, and then you don't have lawyer to stand for you. Even in the community, when there's some guarantee people in police know that person, if you can stand for the party and sell a collateral and say the party fight the next day. So I don't know how the minister will answer it, but let me go to the point that he just said.
Yeah, then 10 seconds, no time.
But you know, when Senator John McCain, there's a senator who had tumor and died, and wrote his own something to the Congress.
Mm-hmm.
He said that let's tone down the rhetoric in Washington D.C. United States is so big, they all of us. And Minister just said it in passing. That let's try to tone down the rhetoric. We all have friends, around the aisle.
Okay.
But the rhetoric so much that it confuses even the follower and they want to kill themselves. For the
Thank you.
Want to kill themselves. Thank you.
Omer Brand Tati, thank you. Let me take a call for this line. Hello, I'll take 2 calls and close it up. Hello, welcome. Hello, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, hello, Jallah.
Yes, welcome. How are you? Is that S. Lauren Bobo calling from Foya, Lofa County?
Thank you so much.
The man who helped to deliver Foya from the hands of the Unity Party?
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Oh.
I wasn't trying to speak to the minister. Mr. Minister, I asked Jallah last time. Every development of this government about one of having on the hard copy, but that's for now, even in terms of update, because you guys are doing well and continue doing your work until those people that you can say, I'm going to put that, this guy has been already, so let them go ahead.
Thank you so much, S. Fire Bobo. That's the man is a very strong man in that area. Let me take this call. Hello, welcome. You live. You have 20 seconds.
Well, Jallah, how are you? This is Jay here right now. I'm calling from Fender.
Fender, let's say you have 10 seconds.
Yes. Yeah, 10 seconds. Thank you very much. You know, I have a little problem. The police did not actually went on time until the president went on to announce or to get up mandate.
Yeah, but the minister said that was a marching order from the chief executive of this country.
Yeah. So the next thing is that after he gave that mandate, only the COP for the CDC that we are seeing they online that he arrested. Where are those guys from the UL from wherever they come from?
So that's why the minister said the police is still working. So give them the chance. You don't know what they've been doing, but what they have done in the last 24 hours.
Okay, the last one is this. Mr. Minister, I have a little call with you as a minister, as my father. You are very, very slow in responding to issues. It's not actually good for us. As a leader, when something happens, I know that not everything you actually respond to.
And so listen, and the city say he's slow to respond, right? So the same way the poor accusing the president say he was slow to respond to this so violent. So you know what Madam Celine said in this country, which I can always say, Madam Celine said she will not act based on public sentiments. She will always drink her soup when the soup is cold. So why you want the minister to say, "Yeah, when something happens, just go you talk"?
Not this particular violence I'm speaking of. I just have the opportunity to
Okay, so you respond to that. I think it's good that you said it. Let me take the final call from here. Hello, you the last caller, just for 10 seconds.
Hello,
Yes, let's say it quickly.
this is Joseph Chief from Ledgerhood City.
Go ahead and let's say it quickly.
I want to thank the Honorable Minister and the studio. I very thank you. But you see, there are two people here that really, the two actors here, those that volunteer in the street, they are not involved at all. And we see that one side just being arrested. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. The minister will respond to these concerns. I think, Mr. Minister, you want to just respond quickly?
Yeah, sure. Signing 4 people, the people who were arrested, information is that they are not at the police station. I don't know. But what is it that I do know is that when people are being investigated and not charged yet, depending on the quality of the investigation, level of investigation, as one of your callers said, people are given the right through their legal counsel to go home and come back to the police station to continue with the investigation. I'm not saying that is the case. I don't know. I haven't followed through with the investigation yet. But if that is the case, that is the case. The law provides for that. You know, what charge have they charged the people who were just picked up about 24 hours ago? I mean, the police has not issued a charge yet.
Okay.
And if the police issues a charge, you will know whether or not that charge is billable. But in the meantime, if the police is investigating you, your legal counsel could appeal to the police for you to be brought back after, after the first initial preliminary investigations are held. And it depends on what the police, if you're not a flight risk,
Meaning they will flee the country.
Meaning you've run away from the country or run away from the police will say, okay, you are a respectable lawyer, we turn your client over to you, or you are a respectable citizen of the country, we can turn that person over to you. So we should not be sentimental in the investigation. That's why I say let's leave the politics out of the investigation and let the police do their work, because that is important for us to talk about. I also talking about lowering the decibel, because at the end of the day, it is not you individually who suffers. it is the country Liberia, and I always say so. It is the country that this car lives on. About all these kinds of, verbiage, the bellicose and the belligerent talk, threatening people, the what I call the saber rattling, people trying to calling people to arms. That what does it lead us to? What have we not learned about violence? That when something happens, then everybody, over the moon. Over the moon. There is no society where things don't happen. The great United States. People wake up in the morning, the children go to school easily. Madmen just come and shoot them.
Of course.
People get vexed. They don't go around, I mean, the court for people's heads sometimes. But at the end of the day, society comes back to itself and learn from the negatives and pick itself up and move forward. That's what we should be learning from as Liberians. I hope this July 26 situation will tell our young people that violence begets violence, and it leads to the unraveling of the peace and the degradation of societal order. So we should not do that. And finally, this guy who talked about the men too slow to talk. One of the things they like, this country like, people who wake up in the morning every day, call every radio station acting like they know too much, insulting everybody, and then say, yeah, the men are firebrand. I didn't go to school to learn my trade and be rude to people and to act rational.
And I listened to you when the
Deputy
Minister was taking over the time.
There has to be a reason for us to speak. Another thing too, as a government, we have to be tolerant of dissenting views. Tolerant of dissenting views. Sometimes you just need to sit back and let people talk. Let them vent. And understand why they're venting. And do as they want you to do, and listen to their concerns and move on. It's not everything we get on the radio to debunk or to trash, the regular words they use, erecting checkpoint. And then the back and forth, I talk, they talk, you talk, they talk. Nobody listening to anybody, no message going through, only thing but noise. Me, I'm a journalist, I'm a messenger. If I have to find a way to break through to society, to give government message, I do it in a way that is respectful of those who are listening to me and the population who wants to hear what the message the government has. Not to go insulting people,
Mr. Minister,
and yelling all around. And saying I'm doing my work.
Yeah, doing your work, and then people say that what he being paid for.
Yeah,
They say that. So, Mr. Minister, there's this information I'm getting very troubling. Many people say troubling in their words. I'm there borrowing the words of some people who post on Facebook. I saw a photograph or video footage of Representative Yeke Kolba saying he's forming
let me cut
this.
you off. I'm not going to give that any breath. Any breath.
Forming the coalition for potential opposition.
I'm not going to give that any breath. We are a government. When people break the law will take its course. That's all I will say to you. When people break the law will take its course.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you.
And that's how we go home this evening on the Bumper Show with the Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism. Ledgerhood J Rennie has been my guest on the Bumper Show. Speaking on national issues of relevance in our country. The powerhouse of Liberian journalism knowledge. A universal Liberian lecturer. And I'm going home. My name is Jallah Emmanuel Nikki Kalufagala Kian Balaklu Nyali 1,000 woman. Jallah Grayfield. Join me again next week when I shall be here again with another fascinating topic on the Bumper Show. Remember Jallah Grayfield chapter 1 verse 1. Let's talk and talk and talk, and never shall we fight. Fighting shall never be our portion. Have a good day from Monrovia. I'll see you when you see me again.
Okay. That's your tool. Okay.
The cook here.